Live from the Keystone State, welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where tonight we get set to duke it out once again in the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series. Welcome to Pocono and to the Tricky Triangle. My name is Old Rambo, bringing you all of the action from start to finish here this afternoon. And unfortunately, Josh Barrett unable to join us here this afternoon, so you get to listen to my lovely voice for the next 80 laps or 200 miles of racing action from this 2.5 mile beast. 3 different turns, each one of them modeled after a different racing venue, is going to make it an absolute barn burn of a show here this afternoon. Last year's race at this very track was a bit of a topsy-turvy one, marred with cautions all throughout, went into triple overtime, hoping for better here this afternoon. We are using, of course, the older legacy scan of the Pocono Raceway. It's a little bit bumpier, of course, than the newer rescanned version. Should prove up to throw some really exciting action here on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Taking a look at the point standings into race in action here this afternoon. Benjamin Lacey still sits in the race lead, but only 1 point ahead of Nick Dickerson. Scott Shire sits at that number 3 spot. Tony Hilbrand is 4th. Time Rasco is 5th. Michael Thorpe Jr., after scoring his first win, finally, of the season in dramatic fashion at Dover, has picked up the 6th place in the points for GGA Esports. And, of course, Sean Britt still sits right on that cut line in a dead heat with Connor Gibson. Connor Gibson looking to punch his ticket into the top 10, with Sean Britt being a no-show here this afternoon. So he will be seeing a change in position then for the final spot that can get into that top 10 shootout for the playoffs at season's end. But for now, a lot of action still left to unfold as we work our way steady on through qualifying. So right now, Brian G is one of the cars that's working his way up and around. He is currently sitting 7th on the boards. He's going to put his lap time down at the buzzer, and will it be any sort of improvement? It will not. Let's run down to Tony Hilbrand. He'll take you for a lap around Pocono Raceway. Coming across the start-finish line, first lap was good enough for 2nd place on the boards. His 2nd lap will improve, but it will not improve his position. Sits just 0.03 of a second off. A good, solid effort there for Tony Hilbrand as he worked himself up and into that qualifying effort. So that gives us just a few seconds left on the boards here in qualifying. You saw how much wheel work Hilbrand was putting into that machine. It is going to be a very difficult race here this afternoon for all drivers involved. They called it the Tricky Triangle for a reason, and you saw all the wheel work he was putting in. And the speeds, no slouch either. Hilbrand's topped out at about 212 miles an hour down the front straightaway. The speeds are lightning quick around here, and you have to slow it up to about 150, 160 when you're at your slowest. And that is when your tires are fresh. It'll be even crazier once everything is getting lined up and ready to go, and we get ourselves deeper into this 80-lap, 200-mile event here this afternoon. Only a handful of races remain in the regular series season. Of course, we roll out to Pocono after this week. We'll have Martinsville, Talladega, Chicagoland, Kansas, and Charlotte. 5 races remain after this afternoon for us to get this championship set out before we will roll in towards the 3-round playoff system with the top 12, being inverted. It was a bit miscalculated there on the top 10. It is the top 12 in points. And we'll get inverted at the end of the regular series season. But with all of that said and done, qualifying is at its close. Let's take a rundown then of what your starting grid is going to look like as we get set to duke it out for 200 miles of racing action around the Keystone State. Starting on pole position tonight, you got Blackhawk Motorsports' Dustin Ping. He'll line up alongside Tony Hilbrands for Hilbrands Motorsports. Time for Rasker for Team MFRD starts in that third spot. Scott Shire out of Michigan will be starting in fourth. Benjamin Lacer for 785 is down to the number 5 spot with last week's winner, GJ Esports' Michael Thorpe Jr. down in sixth. Jason Greenwell for BC Simsport starts in the 7th spot with Aaron Smith for Yellow Vision out in 8th. Dalton Kilroy for MFRD Racing is in 9th with Brian Dees also for MFRD Racing in 10th. The Texas native Kevin Foster will be starting in the 11th spot with Golden Guardian Autosports' Zachary Wareham in 12th. You got a Canadian running back there in that 13th position, then Paul Statmary out of the Diach regions over in Europe, going to be starting from 14th. Sean Williams out of Carolina will be down in the 15th spot with BC Simsports' Eddie Hagge in 16th. Steve Ulrich out of Ohio will be 17th. The last driver on the grid will be the owner of Blackhawk Motorsports, Mike Massengill, bringing up the rear of the field. 18 cars lined up and ready to go. Just waiting now on Hilbrands, the second place starter, and Gibson, the 13th place starter, before we'll get this field rolling out for their one and only pace lap. And all drivers will make the call, so it will be an 18-car field. One driver that I'm very curious to see about this afternoon is going to be, of course, Aaron Smith. The driver of the number 70 machine having a very uncharacteristically poor qualifying session. This car has historically been up near the front in almost every single race it has ran, so very surprising to see the 70 machine so far down in the pack. And another car that we're going to be keeping our tabs on throughout the course of the afternoon is going to be that of Sean Williams. Now, Sean Williams comes into this afternoon with a bit of a busted gas pedal. So that 89 car is going to be taking it nice and easy throughout the course of the night. He has reported that he is going to be trying to stay at the back so he can, quote, not be a menace. Another driver that's having to start this race on the back foot is Eddie Hagge, another car that did not put down a qualifying lap. Hagge still has an end of the longest line penalty that he has to serve from Auto Club several weeks ago. Of course, Eddie Hagge has been absent these last few weeks, so we now see Hagge serving that end of the longest line penalty here this afternoon. Dustin Ping has been up front a few times, but has never been able to put together that race win all throughout the season. Of course, his most memorable moment, and the moment he is no doubt looking to forget, was when that 81 car got kicked into the catch fence at the Texas Motor Speedway just 5 weeks into this championship. Dustin Ping, though, sits in with the 8th place in the points and is trying to gun for 7th to get around Dalton Kilroy. And when he started from pole, he's got a good spot to do it from. Zachary Wareham has opted to take a tow back to pit road, having some sort of connection problems, which is why he is going to be starting this race on the back foot a bit further down in this field. And well, with that, we are about ready to get this show on the road. We're happy as always that you're joining us here on this beautiful Monday night. The Irising pace car going to work itself in towards pit road. It's down the hands of Dustin Ping. Green flag's out. It's go, go, go for the tricky triangle. Tony Hilbrand's going to lead lap number 1 to green right out of the gate. The number 92 car making that move for the race lead early on as we worked down that front straightaway. Further behind, drivers like Michael Thorpe Jr. and Scott Shire looking to battle it out for 3rd place on the racetrack. Thorpe to the inside, going to try to pick off Shire and make up a lot of ground. Early on, this number 34 car already +3 on the afternoon before he started. Battling out with Scott Shire still. Shire working his way around the long way of the Long Pond Straight, down towards turn number 2. And Shire will pull clear around the top shelf, put Thorpe down to 4th. Bit of side-by-side action going on a little bit further in the pack as drivers like Eddie Hagge trying to make moves deeper in the field. Right now, one of the bigger battle clusters, Jason Greenwell, Aaron Smith, Brian Dees, and Dalton Kilrow. Hilbrand's on an absolute tear up at the head of this field, has really pulled away, and whoa, boy, Satmary kicking the tail end out big time. And the driver of the number 24 machine is going to lose quite a few positions now as a result of that mistake. Shire now trying to see if they can run down Dustin Ping at the head of the field through this opening corner. And now the whole pack getting single filed out in a hurry. No surprises there. We expected these drivers to not be too eager to go side by side in the early phases. And that is indeed ringing true here this afternoon. MFRD teammates Brian Dees and Dalton Kilrow currently sitting nose to tail. They exchange blows on the opening lap of the race. Kilrow and Dees are going to be able to work their way through. They'll pick up their own little spots and still single file, no overtakes besides that little mistake there from Satmary on lap number 3. Take a look back on how Tony Hilbrands overtook Dustin Ping for the race lead. It was immediately down the front straightaway and in towards the opening corner of the racetrack. Just carried more momentum around that outside groove, and the Mopar machine shot through into the lead on the exit of turn number 1. He's already pulled out over a second gap. Further back in the pack, Mike Messengill trying to make a run on Eddie Hagge, but Hagge will maintain the spot. So Hagge up to 15th. We're looking to continue that drive up through this field. A lot of drivers are being testy. Nobody's wanting to really push the fold just yet. Everybody's being very calm, very patient. No super aggressive looks being made throughout this pack. And again, this is of no surprise when it's a difficult racetrack like this, at a racetrack where mistakes are so easy to come by. You don't want to really push your luck, especially in the early goings of this race. There you see Dalton Kilrow trying to fire around the outside of his teammate Brian Dees. And it will not happen for the driver of the number 41. He'll remain tucked up behind that 17. Further behind, though, Eddie Hagge and Paul Satmary are going to go side by side. Hagge continue his charge of the field. Makes the pass for 13th on the inside of that number 24, but slips up in turn 2. And Satmary going to cut back to the inside for the final corner here. Satmary going to try to lunge down the inside. See if he can secure that spot into the final corner here. Gets the nose in. Hagge still hovering around the outside lane here in this battle for 13th on the racetrack. And looking like that will be a battle that Hagge will win out. Satmary, don't think he's going to be able to find his way down to the inside of turn 1, and he will not. Hagge maintains the lead. How about Michael Thorpe Jr.? He's trying to make a run on Scott Shire here, tucked up into the draft down the Long Pond Straight. Although no moves being made down in the turn 2. Same story for Greenwell, Smith, Dees, and Kilrow deeper in the pack. Although Dalton Kilrow getting a little bit nervy, going to look to the inside. And try to have a look down the inside of Brian Dees, but instead it'll be Dees to shoot down the inside of Smith. And Kilrow going to try to go 2 for 2. Smith on the backslide now as the Yellow Vision number 70 uncharacteristically off pace compared to the leaders and what we're usually seeing out of that race car. Going to drive on the brakes into turn number 1. Kilrow maintains that line. How about that? Kilrow up to 9th. Further down the road, Zachary Wareham has made his way back out onto the racetrack, albeit he is a lap and a half down. So Wareham hoping for an early caution here, so we can get back onto the lead lap and start to battle that out with the rest of the pack. Benjamin Lacey, Michael Thorpe Jr. looking to go side by side down the front straightaway. These, of course, two drivers that were going double file and beating and banging door to door in one of the most dramatic finishes we've ever seen in this championship at Dover just a week ago in overtime. Thorpe pulls clear from the outside. How about Brian Dees? Trying to track the inside of Dalton Kilroe. Not going to happen. Kilroe with a run on Greenwell as Greenwell got into the wall off of two. Or off of one, sorry. And Greenwell slips way up the racetrack. A bold move going for it to the tunnel turn. Greenwell going to drop Brian Dees. He's going to drop by Aaron Smith. And could we see Foster trying to make it 4 for 4? We sure will. Greenwell trying to pinch that number 8 car in to keep this field at bay. It's not going to happen, though. So Greenwell will drop to 11th. Kevin Foster up to 10th. Up front, Thorpe and Lacey once again going at it for that 4th place on the racetrack. Lacey has been trying to find a way through, has just not been able to get to the inside. Thorpe has been proven to be a very difficult driver to pass in this league's history. Not a driver you want to find yourself stuck behind, that's for sure. Justin Bean, Scott Shire, just in front of them are in a little two-car drafting tandem as well for second and third. All the while, Tony Hilbrand's clear by 1.8 seconds at the head of the field. Comes Kilroe looking to the inside of Marasco, trying to make that move down into turn 1 for 6th. And the team member of our teammate is going to go for a switch, and now Brian Dees trying to follow through. Sneak attack from the 17 as Marasco slips into the second groove, trying to follow the tracks of Kilroe. Kilroe gets a bit crossed up out of turn 1. Dees able to tuck back in line while there's a lot of drivers still in front of their own little battle packs. There you saw Connor Gibson lunge up the inside of Kevin Foster into the tunnel turn. Duly named for the tunnel that runs underneath that race, underneath that racing corner. Who would have thought? And already over 10 laps deep into an 80-lap race. Time flies when you're having fun, and a lot of these drivers sure look that they're having fun at Pocono this afternoon. Brian Dees looking for the inside. Ty Marasco trying to see if he can drag that car around the top lane to hang on to the spot, which he will. These drivers further up the road are still going nowhere. Now Benjamin Lacey trying to attack the inside of Thorpe. And it won't happen. Thorpe continuing to do a great job on hanging on to that 4th place position, playing the defensive game perfectly this afternoon. Further in the rear, Steve Ulrich, Paul Satmar, and Sean Williams all in the battle of their own. Now remember, Williams right now battling with a bad throttle pedal. That number 89, Monte Carlo. So really doing his diligence here and trying to keep that car in fine shape. Whoa, boy, look out, Satmar, spinning around to the front straightaway, and how's that? He still hasn't saved it, and he will manage to recover it. That will allow Mike Messenger to get through. A wild save there for the 24. Coming off the top shelf of turn number 3. That was a hairy moment for him. Take a ride on board with Satmar into the final corner, and watch this. Picked up the throttle too early. Started to come around on him. I'll tell you what, he nearly cleaned out Sean Williams there. Beautiful job for him. Well, all that was going on, Aaron Smith made this pass to get around Brian Dees, going the long way around turn 1. Great overtake there from Aaron Smith. You've also seen Time Rasco and Brian Dees going at it up the road as well, just in front of these guys. Second on back through fifth, still tucked up line astern as they look to make their way down the back stretch and into turn three. Lacey again to the inside of the PRF setup shops. GJ Esports number 34 of Michael Thorpe Jr. And Thorpe pulls again around the outside. That outside lane proving to be an absolutely brilliant line for defense for that number 34 car. Nobody has been able to get by him yet. Tony Hilburn's at the head of the field, continuing to expand that race lead. Now up to 2.5 seconds over this field. The Mopar machine has not been slowing down in the slightest. Says a lot when that Dodge Challenger can single-handedly pull away from this field in just the span of a handful of laps. The big question is, does Tony Hilbrands have the tires to make it to that first pit stop window? Or is he burning this equipment up too soon? Only time will tell on that one. But for now, what he's doing is sure working. Quite a few battles picking up as he worked back to the front straightaway. Second place about to be under fire. Oh boy, one car way out of the groove in the background. And while there's no move for second on up, you got to move for seventh. Smith to the inside of Ty Marasco, trying to see if he can go for the position. Marasco holding on around the long way, will not make it happen. Thorpe has finally had enough playing defense. He's going to go on the offensive here. Shoots to the inside of Scott Shire down in the turn number 2. Now, will the inside work for Thorpe? The outside so far has been where that car has been the strongest all afternoon. He's going to take that one deep into turn number 3. Scott Shire going to end up pulling clear. And that's where he will remain. Good show there for Thorpe. As Shire makes his way up to third. Thorpe now trying to see if he can carry that momentum around the outside line. Continues to try to work at him little by little, chipping away at those defenses. That look allowed for Dustin Payne to break clear by about 0.3 of a second. So these guys have got to be careful that they don't fight it out too much or ping, just like Hilbrands before. Will be able to separate himself from these guys, and then he's going to be gone. On board, the defending champion Benjamin Lacey, the driver out of California, still hanging on behind the Uno-H Dodge, as this battle not looking to be going away anytime soon. Hard on the brakes. Speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour at the end of that straight. See how powerful that draft is, even down the Long Pond straight. Getting up to 191. We're having to jump on the binders for turn 2. Oh boy, a bit of a stack up here. Should we be seeing the first real break of the fences? Oh, Paul Satmary. Trouble for the German. As the lone European in the field is going to slide into the infield on the back straightaway and be forced to toe to pit road. And Dustin Ping is coming into the pits. Dustin Ping down and into pit road. Let's take a look at what happened here to Paul Satmary. Slowing this down as this is working through that opening corner on the racetrack, and I'm willing to bet back end's just going to come around to them. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Just slid it out. Slid into the infield and said, yep, that's it. I'm calling it a night. On board. It's already fighting that car through the entry of turn 1 and eventually fully loses it on the exit. very bumpy back straightaway there, especially right around those access roads that also double up as part of this Legacy version's Pocono of what I believe ends up being about 4 different infield road courses. Ping so far the only driver to come down under that latest yellow flag, and I believe just took tires on that pit stop, was only in the box for 11.6 seconds. So a 2-tire stop there for Ping. Thorpe looks to the inside of Shire. It's now a direct battle for that number 2 spot on the podium. Thorpe going to find the inside, takes it to the inside of the Fox Sporting Equipment Mustang, and will break through to second. Well, at least he's seeing if he can't make a run for third, which he will do to perfection. So Marasco gets through on Scott Shire, and sure enough, they're all coming to pit road. Lacey trying to go for the overtake. They're jamming hard on the binders and just getting down to pit road speed limit in time. You can see quite a few cars sliding it down behind as green flag pit stops underway. Just 20 laps into this race, and Haggy with a near miss. Tony Hillbrand's into the box, as are several others. Seeing what the call is going to be throughout, there was, I believe, a little bit of discussion as to whether another set of tires would be added this afternoon. It was determined there would not. 4 tires and fuel throughout. Kevin Foster driving straight through his pit box and back out onto the racetrack. Believe he missed his pit box altogether. He was only in the pits for 24 seconds, so he likely missed his pit stall in that mess. And here come the leaders. Kilroe trying to go for it around the outside of Ty Marasco. So the rest of the field down in the pit road, this time by Kevin Foster will have to come in again. You see Zachary Wareham working his way out of the final corner as Marasco and Kilroe make their way down and into pit road. And sure enough, there is Foster making that second attempt to come down to the pits. Kilroe first one out of the box, trying to beat Marasco out. He will not get there. Marasco gets out in front of Kilroe. Keeping it on that inside line until they hit the blue cone, just in time for the line at turn 1. Shire gets around the outside of Dustin Ping, and oh, trouble! Marasco spins around. Caution flag is out for the first time tonight. Just 21 laps into this race. Tony Hilburn's lead have been pretty well annihilated. You can see how much Benjamin Lacey reeled in with that pit stop cycle, and well, this is going to put an interesting spin on things now. Jumping back to look what happened to Ty Marasco here as he works through turn 1. Oh, just got in the rumble strips on the inside, and that unsettled the car. And eventually it started to go around, and Kilroe finished the job with a little tap to the back end. Around spins the 1, and that's all she wrote. At speed. Yeah, that little tap there is all it took, and whoops. Nowhere for Kilroe to go. And nothing that Kilroe did wrong there either. Yep, right there. Got loose, and Kilroe tried to keep it out of him. It just wasn't going to happen. Brian Dees, Jason Greenwell both did a great job to avoid that, and that could have been a much worse incident. Caution flags out for the first time this afternoon for Pocono. We'll be back in a moment on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Lights are out aboard the iRacing pace car. We are about to get set for green flag racing action once again for the Pocono Raceway as time is looking set to continue to tick away. We'll restart this race at lap 25 of 80 this afternoon. Brian Dees, Connor Gibson, and Ty Marasco are now headed up 1, 2, and 3. Tony Hilbrand's Benjamin Racing. In fact, the entire field came back down into pit road under this yellow flag for a top-up on the fuel numbers. Sean Williams, in particular, though, in the pits for 16 seconds. So some sort of service going on there for that number 89 car, as he'll work his way back up to the racetrack to catch up to the tail of the pacing line. Coming up on Green Flag TV on Wednesday night, the Beer League has its third race of the season at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve. Going to be a wet time over in Portugal. Speed Tires Plus Cup Series runs out to the Windy City. They'll be racing in Joliet, Illinois at the Chicagoland Speedway. And then on Saturday, the TNGGIL Truck Series swings out to Martinsville for a 250-lap beating and banging race at America's fastest paperclip. A lot of action coming up on Green Flag TV, including the remainder of tonight's race as the pace car will duck into pit road this time by. Brian Dees with the lead. Will work his way into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Running down track side by side. Marasco with the inside of Connor Gibson. Brian Dees is pulled away firmly with the race lead. Tony Hilbrand's drifting up into the side of Thorpe as they get up to turn one. And it is a tight battle all the way down the Long Pond Straight. Thorpe goes from defense to offense. Lunges for the inside of Ty Marasco into the tunnel turn as the top two break away. Marasco now off cycle on the field by about 2 laps. We'll look to keep Thorpe at bay. Michael Thorpe Jr. lunging down the inside again into the final corner. But there isn't any sort of real tire advantage right now that Thorpe can take advantage of. And down the main straight here, Marasco is going to have all the advantage with the draft. And now trouble as they get close door to door. And finally, Thorpe will tuck back in line after almost being side by side for a whole lap. Smart play there from Thorpe, play that conservative game. There'll be plenty of time down the road to make that time up. Hilbrand's looking for the inside, and we'll try to keep that momentum moving forward. Although not able to get any kind of run going on Thorpe through that final corner, looking for it. And now Thorpe will send it back down the inside of Marasco. But as we've seen Thorpe do so many times, that MFRD car able to pull the outside line big time to keep Thorpe at bay. Hilbrand's going to now look for the inside to see if he can pick off the spot from that 34 machine. Oh boy, Connor Gibson with a big sideways moment coming off of turn number 4, or turn 3. What turn 4? I think is the old saying of Pocono. Hilbrand's and Thor both trying to look to the inside of Marasco. That one car holding his ground. And no driver really able to get any kind of a run going for all of their efforts. It's got to be frustrating when you're these drivers tucked up at the back of the battle packs here and unable to make these moves happen. Oh boy, Marasco is loose. Marasco with a huge loose moment, and now Thorpe having to check up. Hilbrand's going to lunge down the inside. Side by side, nose to tail. Thorpe practically pushing Marasco through the final corner. And finally gets a run down the inside into 1. Pulls up alongside as the end of the braking zone. Oh no! Thorpe turned by Hilbrand's. Thorpe goes into the outside wall. Yellow flag is out for the second time tonight. And it is a solo car spin against the outside wall. Big damage now for the GJ Esports machine of Michael Thorpe Jr. As Hilbrand's turns that car around as they go through the opening couple of corners. Taking a look back. Thorpe was all ready to look into the inside of Marasco. Hilbrand's was looking for a hole in the middle to try to go through, and a hole there was not. And eventually right there, just gets too much speed, and that sends that 34 car pretty heavily into the outside wall. Looking at it at speed. It's all it takes is that little mistake, and nothing malicious there from Kilrow for sure. Just how the cookie crumbles. Let's ride on board with Hilbrand's here, sorry. And I mean, it was the smallest of touches too. Barely nudged him at all, and that car just hooked the second the back wheels were lifted off the ground. That's just unfortunate circumstances. Coming down to the pit road under this next yellow flag, and a few drivers baiting the field to stay out. Gibson and Lacey are staying out. Brian Dees comes into the pits. Well, everyone else is down and in. Looking to be fuel only for most of the pack. Aaron Smith gets fresh tires. Ping with fresh tires. Thorpe will be getting some damage repairs before getting back out onto the racetrack. So we can talk to one of the drivers here under this latest yellow flag here. We'll try to get in touch with your second place runner, Ty Marasco here. Ty, this is Noel Rempel up here in the broadcast booth. Got a copy?
I do.
Well, a lucky break for you there. You were under a lot of pressure. You're able to fend them off, and then the caution comes out in your favor here. You did, last pit of lap 20, you didn't come down with the rest of the field under that same caution. You don't come down this caution. What's the strategy looking like?
I was debating. I was debating going down that time. But, you know, you can make it about 20 laps of a run. That's what we did the first run. So, I mean, we're going to pit here probably towards lap 43, 44. If it stays green, you could look for us to come down pit road. But, yeah, that's the strategy. It's just kind of run it how it is, keep the track position. I know a lot of people pit there, but I feel like we can make a lot of time up on these guys that are trying to extend their run even longer. And maybe that made-up time will keep us up front.
And overall, are you thinking we're going to be getting ourselves with a longer green flag run like we had to kick this thing off, or is this going to be the start of a bit of a string?
I think it'll be a green flag run. I mean, it's Pocono. It's not going to say anything that it can't be, but I think I'll get strung out. Usually lends itself to green flag runs. Might have one or two more maybe, but hopefully not. But it's just, I think everybody's pretty good. I think Amy got a little aggressive behind me there, and I know I was making it tough on them, but hey, it's racing, and that's how you do it. You got to keep positions and to finish up front. So I know I was racing them hard, but hey, that's racing.
We'll wish you the best of luck here on the restart when we restart for lap 33.
Thank you.
Tom Marasco joining us up here, number 2 on the racetrack as of right now, and one of a few cars not to come down to pit road. Right now, the top 6 have all stayed out. Currently, the driver on freshest tires and the cleanest car is Aaron Smith. Runs right now up in what I believe is going to end up being 12th. Up on that outside line, back of row number 6. Marasco and Gibson will take this field to the green flag. Connor Gibson opting for the outside for the restart. Pace cars off, green flag is back in the air as we get ourselves back to racing action at the Tricky Triangle. Marasco takes the race lead as they rocket down in towards turn number 1. Gibson way up high. Hillbrands takes over the number 2 spot. As the pack sits in lockstep down the back straightaway and in towards the tunnel turn. So far, so good. No problems yet. Dalton Kilrow looks for the inside of Jason Greenwell. secures that 5th place position just in front. Connor Gibson trying to make a run on Benjamin Lacey. And now Hilbrands has caught Marasco for the lead. The number 92 Mopar machine led the entire first stint of this race and is now going to lead again as he takes it down to the inside of the number 1, down in the turn number 1 to the Long Pond Straight. Can't make the run. Marasco sits in line with the lead. Kevin Foster, Brian Dees, Aaron Smith, and more, all tucked up line to stern. Scott Shire in the mix, and Michael Dorff Jr. after being caught up in that last yellow flag, trying to work his way back to the lead. Has gotten pretty much all of the damage repaired on that UNOH number 34 Dodge. So going to make a gamble to try to punch his ticket back to the point. Oh, Shire tried to look for the inside of Foster, but Thorpe was already there. Meanwhile, Hilbrands back down to the inside of Foster, trying to go over the race lead. And won't get there. Once again, outside line reigns supreme. Marasco hangs on. Hilbrands will have to try again. Smith and Dees side by side as they work down to the tunnel turn. You see how much Ty Marasco is going defensive there. And there's not a lot of room there for Hilbrands to work with, but he's trying for it. Same distance behind as there is in the car in front. And a lot of draft to work in Hilbrands' favor as they work down to turn 1, but there won't be any this time. Oh, he's going to run Marasco over into turn number 1. Nearly sends the one car around. Big look there down into the opening corner, and Hilbrands deep on the brakes. Marasco somehow able to hang on. Dalton Kilrow looking for the inside of Benjamin Lacey. Battle for third picks up as well. Boy, that got nervy there, coming down in the turn number 1. Take a look back on what happened here. This is on board with Marasco. Oh boy, that is a close call. That could have been absolutely disastrous. Look at how far sideways that car got. That car is wrecked. How he hung on to that is beyond me. While all that's going on, Kilrow, Gibson, Haggy, Smith, double file as they work to turn 2. Connor Gibson going to try to look to the inside of the 41. And track it up from those rumble strips. Aaron Smith now with some momentum. Benjamin Lacey now trying to look for the inside of Hilbrands. Hilbrands now with a little bit of damage as a result of that dogfight there with Marasco. See that right front crumpled in. That's going to be affecting him arrow-wise. So Lacey now trying to attack for that second podium spot. On board with Aaron Smith as he works down to turn 1, just behind Dalton Kilrow, running in that 4th place position. drivers right now packed up line astern with not a lot of places to run, and certainly not a lot of places to hide. Once again, Hilbrands finds himself under fire. This time he'll give it up. Benjamin Lacey takes over the number 2 spot. One driver not giving in so easily is Dalton Kilrow, trying to keep a charging Aaron Smith at bay. Smith will take his machine to the inside and picks off the 41. Behind, Haggy, Gibson, Greenwell, Dees. All line astern as they work their way back down in the round into turn number 1 down the pit straight. Turning lap 40 of 80. Haggy checks up. Connor Gibson should be able to take away that 6th place. Further behind, Shire trying to make a run around Brian Dees to fend him off. But Dees with the inside for the tunnel turn should be able to make this happen. And now Brian Dees trying to make it 2 for 2 as he attacks Greenwell. Oh, and another big tank slab off the top shelf of the tunnel turn. Causes Greenwell to bobble. Shire to the inside. Dees gonna sweep up. Halfway home, 40 down, 40 to go, and 100 miles of racing left in Pennsylvania. A lot of battles picking up all over the racetrack. Smith trying to make an attack down the inside of Hilbrands to pick off that 3rd place position. Lacey trying to see if he can attack Marasco for the lead. While the rest of the field is just in a non-stop dogfight further behind. Lacey to the inside. Tries to secure the spot. Aaron Smith pulls up in front of Hilbrands. And Benjamin Lacey takes the spot away. Aaron Smith running in that 2nd place, seeing if he can make a run for the race lead. Thought we'd be 3 wide for the briefest of moments. You see Lacey trying to pinch Smith down to the bottom to take that air away, and it's working. Marasco comes off the wall a little bit. Side-by-side grudge match for the lead down to the turn number 2. Smith takes it down low, picks off the spot, and for the first time, Yellow Vision to the lead. And even further behind, drivers like Jason Graver and Scott Shire have not stopped battling each other either. It is intense. We're about 6th on back. Eddie Haggy will bail to pit road. Looking to make a run for a pit stop while everyone else is still tucked up, line astern. Expecting Lacey and Hilbrands to be in any lap now along with Marasco. Oh, Gibson gets it away with Dees. And now bobbling up for the bottom is the 31. Thorpe almost gets involved. Thorpe sweeps through on a lot of them. 3 wide down the back straightaway. Greenwell backs out. Shire to the inside of these. To the inside of Gibson. As they nearly come together in one. Connor Gibson pulls off into pit road. That was an expected pit stop. Greenwell is expected to be in any lap now, along with Lacey, Hilbrands, and Marasco. Aaron Smith pulling out a huge gap right now over the field. Of course, remember, Smith has some of the freshest tires in this field. He picked up a fresh set of Goodyears on lap 30 under this latest yellow flag. One less set that he's going to have in the back pocket for later in the race. Hilbrands with a huge bobble off of the turn 2 will allow Marasco to get to his inside. Dalton Kilroe should be about that net second place right about now. And Marasco into the pits. And Marasco spinning, crashing into pit road. Big hit to the inside wall for the number 1 car. Not ideal entry there. That's going to effectively kill Marasco's night. Take another look back as he's jamming on the brakes. And it looked like just locked the rears and possibly wheel hop sent him face first into the pit wall. On board. Oh yeah, wheel hop, big time. He was never gonna make it in there. Would not be surprised if we got a speeding penalty to boot. Lacey is in, Hilbrands is in. Kilroe picks up second. Dustin Ping and Jason Greenwell both in a little further behind as well. And now the pack very much split down the middle. One of the lone battles on the racetrack is between Thorpe, Shire, and Dees. Thorpe sits third, Shire sits fourth, Dees sits fifth. Man, Dees gets sideways off of turn 1. Scott Shire going to try to take that one down low, sends it in on Thorpe. Monstrous lunge for that Ford Mustang. And Thorpe making an early call to pit road as well. Curious to see Thorpe coming in this early. Why he is in this early? Mystery to me. But that is a good distance. It's a good distance out from where we'd expect to see him in pit road. Smith currently maintains that lead. Pit strategy is looking like it's going to be an important deal coming into the later stage of this race, as it so often is. Whoa, boy! Big problems for Mike Massengill there as he got a little nervy there with the grass. Take a ride on board. Oh, what in the world? What happened there? Put the wall and maybe got stuck the wall. Had to jerk that car down to get it off of the wall. Oh yeah, that's exactly what happened. He got caught against that wall, and he's lucky that he didn't go straight on into turn 2. Massengill now into pit road. Tony Hilbrand's out on fresh rubber. Will look to get around Eddie Hagee. Hilbrand's right now with 3 lap fresher tires in that 92 machine. And the Mopar Challenger takes it down low, but that Monte Carlo is hanging on against the outside. Sorry, the Impala hanging on against the outside. Quite a few different Chevy models that we're working with here on this afternoon. Got a Camaro in the field, got a couple Impalas, a couple of Monte Carlos. And the Challenger this time will take it to the tunnel turn. Just behind them, 3-way battle for 12th. Dustin Ping, Connor Gibson, Michael Thorpe Jr. all tucked up in a train. These are again drivers that have already come down to pit road. And Thorpe gonna make it 3 wide for a moment. Connor Gibson got a better drive out overall and shut the door. Thorpe looking high, looking low, commits to the inside. Oh, no contact. Thorpe comes off the wall. Gibson just behind. Kevin Foster's into the pits. And Thorpe will take the spot up. He's into 12. Here you see the Skull machine. Impala just getting on the brace and into his pit stall. Looking like it'll be a change of at least 2, possibly 4 tires. 30 laps to go this time by at the stripe for race leader Aaron Smith. And right at the 30 laps to go mark, that 70 car is into pit road now. This is not going to be enough to go to the end. They will have to stop one more time before the end of the night. So again, this is where it gets very, very interesting. Brian Dees is into pit road. Sean Williams is also into pit road. Aaron Smith making his way out of the pits. Here comes Benjamin Lacey. And Lacey will inherit the net race lead. Smith going to get back up to speed as the 785 Real Earth Films Dodge Challenger makes his way back out onto the racetrack. Justin Ping, oh boy, gets into it with Tom Marasco. A bit of contact. They're going to push in the right rear fender on that number 81. And right on cue, Dalton Kilroy and Scott Shire will both take it to pit road. Zachary Wareham in as well. Steve Ulrich staying out. Kilroy will re-emerge on the racetrack at about 9th place. Dustin Ping was not able to get around Kilroy as they blitzed their way back out onto the racetrack. Quite a few cars bunched up with this little battle pack here from about 9th on down. Steve Ulrich, the last car into pit road. And that will wrap up the second to last pit stop sequence here of the evening. Jason Greenwell and Brian Dees remain as the main top 2 to beat. Still a lot of green flag conditions, 2 yellow flags so far. The last one was at lap 30. We are on our longest green flag run so far of the night. With still 16, 17 cars on the lead lap, we're going to take ourselves a step back. We'll be back soon on Green Flag TV. was on all over the racetrack. Ty Marasco losing out to Scott Shire potentially here as they work through turn number 1. The number 4 car on a tear right now. Just got around Brian Dees. They're now looking to make a run around the team MFRD number 1. You also saw Aaron Smith and Benjamin Lacey absolutely going at it for the race lead. And it nearly resulted in a collision there. Smith was able to take up the race lead and now runs 1.3 seconds clear of Lacey. Shire, meanwhile, to the inside of Marasco. Brian Dees trying to battle that out with his team MFRD teammate. Just over a quarter of this race left to go. Looking at how the pit strategy lines up for the top 10 drivers in this field so far, I've not seen anybody going with a stint longer than 23, 24 laps, but that is, of course, with assistance from caution periods. So a pretty hefty asterisk on those, but under green, about 20 to 19 laps is the mark. So for some of the drivers that have not stopped lately, like Ty Marasco, they've got to try to make it to 20 to go, about lap 60. And then in theory, they should be good to go to the end. If you're just joining us, welcome to the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series on Green Flag TV. And my name is Ola Rampo, bringing you all the action from start to finish. Josh Baird unable to join us here this afternoon. It has been an intense race so far. 2 cautions on the day, one of them at about lap 21, the other one about 10 laps later. We have been green ever since in this 200-mile, 80-lap race, working lap number 59. Tomorrow, it's going to be an absolutely insane race as the Beer League runs back out to Portugal to the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve for a very wet race in Portugal. Rain will be falling all throughout racing action that afternoon. The Speed Tires Plus Cup Series runs to the Chicagoland Speedway at 9:15 p.m. for the first race of the Chase of the Tires Plus Cup this coming Thursday, with tentatively us broadcasting the Martinsville race of the TNGGIL Truck Series this Saturday, although that may be pushed to either Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon. Right now, Kevin Foster to the inside of Connor Gibson. And the Canadian going to be bumped down and out. Jason Greenwell trying to make up a run as well to the inside line. And so far has the nose in there. So your Texas winner looking like could be trying to make up a couple more spots here at Pocono. As well as that, Kilroe side by side with Thorpe into the final corner, and Kilroe will break by the UNOH number 34. 20 laps to go. You pit now, you can make it to the end. Connor Gibson realizes this. He is immediately going to pull it off to the inside, so pit strategy kicking off in earnest. Eddie Hagg being moved up wide by Brian Dees' little air push there. As Dees going to try to look to the inside. And down to the tunnel turn, Haggy not going to be able to put up a fight. Brian Dees is through. Haggy into pit road for the final time. With most of these battles starting to break apart, let's take another look back on how Aaron Smith made the pass on Benjamin Lacey for the lead. This is down to the turn 3, back on lap 55. Smith with a huge lunge to the inside. Lacey was not done fighting though. And the driver of the number 7 tried to pull around the top lane. Got a half-decent run going on the front straightaway there, as they made the run all the way down the main straight and down into turn numbers 1 and 2. And you can see right there, Lacey for a brief moment got the nose out in front, but Smith was not about to have it. And Smith officially took that lead away into turn 2. So the pass that took a lap for the lead of the race. Kilroe and Greenwell both into the pits for their final stops of the afternoon. And Marasco sideways off the corner. Marasco, of course, laps down after speeding on pit entry on his last pit stop. Nosed it pretty hard into the inside wall, which is where he lost a lot of time from. Benjamin Lacey and Tony Hillbrands both come down for their final stops of the night. Martinsville Speedway is the next race up for this league. 200 laps around the Martinsville Speedway. It's going to be a ride for sure. Kilroe way up to the top shelf trying to beat Lacey out of pit road, but remember, oh, in fact, no, sorry, this is for position here. Kilroe pitted a little bit earlier. Lacey going to get out in front of Kilroe. How about that? So that very much a battle for position as Michael Thor Jr. will now make his way to pit road. Thorpe out of pit road. Tustin Ping, the next car to come down. Right now, it is pretty much the waiting game of waiting for all of these drivers to come down to the pits because everybody's so disconjointed right now in the pit strategy, and then see where things are going to line up at. This time, Marasco trying to make a pass on Zachary Wareham further behind, while Mike Massengill under fire by Lacey, but Massengill is yet to stop. Lacey able to make a run for a position there around that number 3, who will stay out one more lap, it looks like. The whole field spread out around the racetrack. Smith right now has a 15-second lead, although he, Shire, and Dees all came down to lap 50 to 51. We do not believe they can make it to the end. We are anticipating them to be coming down in about 5 laps or so here for their final stops of the evening. Scott Shire into pit road. Shire into the pits as, will this be a set of 4 tires and fuel or fuel only? It will be tires. It's part of why Kilroe wasn't able to make so much of a run there on Benjamin Lacey. He took fuel only on this final stop. Massengill comes down to pit road. Behind Thorpe and Marasco. Currently running nose to tail. These 2 drivers have already made their final stops of the night. So they are battling hard for position right now. Right now it is for 10th, but it could be even further up once the rest of the field cycles through. How about up the road where Dalton Kilrow, under 5, it's on to Hillbrands. Hillbrands takes it down to the inside, and he'll make the move for the 7th spot. So put Hillbrands up to P7. Dalton Kilrow will be up to 8th. The 92 and the 41 going to go at it nose to tail. And Kilrow misses the bottom, slides way up the track, and almost into the outside wall up in turn 1. We're getting down to it. There's only about a dozen laps to go. We're about to enter crunch time. These are the money stops right now throughout the entirety of this field. 3 cars on the lead lap left to pit. Steve Ulrich is among them. Then you got Kevin Foster, who's in the pit road now. You've also got Aaron Smith and Brian Dees that were waiting on to come down into the pits as well. That being an old Harry Grant scheme that Kevin Foster would be running. Pulling down into pit road. Now again, big question. What will the leaders do this time by? Aaron Smith not going to be wanting to be caught out. And he's coming in. Smith into pit road. The race leader is in. While just in front, they're battling it out for that 9th place. Whoa, look out, Haggy! Sideways! Gets it back underneath them, and they're just able to hang on. Thorpe now all over the back of Marasco, and he'll make that look down to the turn 2. Thorpe driving it in, down low, trying to pick off that number 1. Marasco stays up on the top. Thorpe to the inside line and secures the spot. Thorpe now will get up and into 8th, and they're racing these drivers as they try to make their way out of pit road here. But Brian Dees won't get out in front, so this is now the battle for 6th. And my goodness, that got tight with this field. Making their way down in towards turn number 1. Take another look at this. Holy cow. I mean, it was already tight coming off of turn 2. What in the world happened here? Take a look. Thorpe to the back of Hagen. Man, Hagen got all sorts of sideways. Not sure if Thorpe got into him or not. It's a bit of a difficult angle to tell. Marasco then put it 3 wide down the front stretch. Haggy tagging onto the rear, trying to look down the inside of Thorpe. And Thorpe pinched him off, and man, Haggy got loose. That stacked him up and almost saw him getting turned around by Scott Shire. Shire to the inside now of Marasco. Right now, this is one of the biggest battles, and it is for 6th on the racetrack. The 4, the 1, the 34. All in a line. Further behind, an identical battle kicking off between Connie Gibson, Brian Dees, and Jason Greenwell. Aaron Smith leads by a good 10 laps. Or by a good about 5 seconds with only 9 laps to go. Well, after a bit of a nervy moment, looking like things are finally starting to settle again. Lacey a little bit further behind, trying to see if he can run it down at all. And I tell you what, I mean, Lacey's been closing this gap in pretty consistently. Of course, we're kind of putting an asterisk on laps 69 and 70 because those are the laps where we saw Aaron Smith come down to pit road. But on lap 68, Lacey reeled him in by 1.2 seconds. On the last lap, it was another second. This battle for the lead is on. See what the lap times are this time by at the stripe. Another second gained. Lacey's going to catch with about 3 laps here. Aaron Smith not at all safe with the lead. Steve Ulrich is into the pits for his last stop. Could not make it to the end. Greenwell and Gibson are side by side. And a drag race down the pit straight. Greenwell makes the spot. And now Thorpe to the inside of Kilroe. Michael Thorpe Jr., after being turned for that second yellow flag, will punch his ticket into the 5th place spot. It's been a heck of a recovery drive for this number 34 after being turned into the outside wall big time. At this point, he can pretty much recover the 4th, and that is about all he can ask for. Scott Shire, the next driver in the wings. Benjamin Lacey, meanwhile, really running this gap down. Last time by, about 3/4 of a second gained for Lacey. The gap was at 5 seconds, only 3 laps ago, and it is down to 2.6 now. Smith is going to have one whale of a fight ahead of him if he wants to keep this lead and keep this win. Further back, Marasco, Kilroe, still side by side as they battle for 6th, with Thorpe and Shire having long pulled away. Can the 34 make a look for that 4th place? Can he go for one more spot? Further behind, Brian Dees sure thinks he can go for another spot as he'll take it to the inside of Eddie Hagge. And that is going to put Brian Dees up to 8th. 6 laps to go. Thorpe all over the back of that Fox Sporting Equipment number 4 Mustang. Not allowing for Shire to escape his clutches. Several battles yet to be decided. Brian Dees trying to make a move on his MFRD teammate. The battle for the lead has continued to pick up. Lacey has continued to run this gap down back to 1.4. But last time by was only 6/10 quicker. So Lacey's advantage here started to falter. 5 laps to go. Can Aaron Smith hang on? Lacey closes the gap down just over a second. On board with the 785 number 7 car. Really gaining on him mid-corner, and now has the draft. 4 to go, and Lacey is there, ready to pounce. A lot of battles up on the racetrack, but this is by far the most important of the bunch as Aaron Smith and Benjamin Lacey are ready to go to war. Smith the outside wall. Whoa! Wareham! Way to the inside as he lost it off of turn number 1. Gets that car back underneath him. But here comes Lacey. The real Earth Films Dodge Challenger. All over the back bumper down with Smith. What can Smith do to keep Lacey at bay? Just 3 laps left to go. Lacey is backing this one up, trying to set him up for a big run down the front stretch. Smith took fuel only on his last pit stop. It was a splash and go. Lacey took tires. Smith going to take a defensive posture on the inside. Lacey going to try to throw this one in. Round the long way into turn number 1. 3 laps to go, and Lacey is to the point. Textbook overtake around the outside there for the number 7, and I think that's it. Lacey is pulling away. Thorpe making another look to the inside of Scott Shire, meanwhile, trying to attack for fourth. And make that pass in 2. A beautiful recovery drive for this number 34 car as he's going to put himself up and in towards the 4th place on the grid. Shire trying to look back to the inside to go at for that spot again. And only 2 laps to go, 5 miles of racing left. Shire still hanging on to the inside, but Thorpe is going to finally pull that outside momentum and make the move on the 4. And Thorpe secures that 4th place spot. Only a lap to go at the line. Does Shire have anything for Michael Thorpe Jr.? Back to the bottom of the tunnel turn. It's not the only battle. Greenwell breaks around Kilrow and puts himself to 9th. White flag is in the air. Scott Shire back to the bottom of Thorpe. Huge battle going on for that 4th place spot as they take the white flag. And this is a battle that's going to go nowhere. This is going to go right down to the final stages. Shire still hanging on to that inside line of the 34 as they approach the tunnel turn. It's going to be a close drag race, this one here, where they come off of the final corner. Meanwhile, Benjamin Lacey on the tire strategy made it work. He'll rip it off the top side of turn number 3. Lacey wins at the tricky triangle. Thorpe trying to battle back as Shire clears him up in turn number 3. Thorpe trying to see if he can pick away 4th. Contact turns him, crashing across the line, up into the air. But Shire will take the 4th place spot. They crash across the line in spectacular fashion, but Shire was able to hang on. A huge look for the field. And take a ride here as Michael Thorpe try to go over and under and off the final corner. They make contact. Thorpe tried to side draft. Shire got turned sideways, and this time it was the 4 who was able to cross the line ahead of Michael Thorpe Jr. Up into the wall, up into the air, nearly vaulting into pit road. Spectacular crash of the final lap for the number 34 machine. Benjamin Lacey, in the meantime, is going to get the chance to burn it down to the front straightaway as he takes the win from the Keystone State. And he is going to celebrate this one in style. Nice form on that donut there. I'll give that a solid 9 out of 10. Almost. That was an immaculate performance there on a smoke show from Benjamin Lacey as he'll continue his celebrations on the front straightaway. So with all of that said and done, let's take a rundown of what your official race results are going to look like as we will show you how everything's going to line on up at race's end. Taking it home at the end of the night, it's Benjamin Lacey by 1 second of Aaron Smith, making the pass around the outside into 1 with 3 to go. Tony Hilbrands picks up 3rd. Scott Shire was 4th. Michael Thorpe Jr. recovers excellently to the 5th. He and Shire crash big across the line with Thorpe vaulting into the air. Brian Dees was in 6th, Marasco 7th, Eddie Haggett was 8th, Jason Greenwell 9th, Dalton Kilrow rounds out the top 10. Williams, Gibson, Ping, Ulrich, and Massengill were the last cars on the lead lap with Wareham and Foster finishing laps down. Paul Satmary, the lone driver, marked as a DNF on the afternoon. So with that all said and done, let's take a rundown and give a chit-chat here, of course, at the top 3 here at the end of the night. And we'll see if we can get in touch here with Benjamin Lacey, the driver that is able to come home and pick up yet another race win on the season. It's a big win here for that number 7, taking that one in style. And Ben, it's your second one of the season. The last one came all the way back at Rockingham in March. How does it feel to finally be back in victory lane?
Oh my goodness, was it really Rockingham?
Yes,
My word.
it was.
If that tells you kind of, I didn't even realize it had been that while. It's just been so much fun racing with everybody and the boys, you know. But hey, win feels really good. You know, get it going again. Hopefully we can tag up some more. But what a great race from everybody. I think we only had like 2 or 3 cautions at most. So what a good race at Pocono, huh?
It was a great race indeed, and I think a huge step up from what was last season's interesting race, shall we say. But this race, it all came down to tire strategy. You were one of the drivers that took a fuel-only stop earlier on, and that allowed you to have that extra tire set in the back pocket for later. How crucial do you think it was to get the tires right here this afternoon?
Oh, it was really important. Tires were a major factor getting, you know, able to get the drive off the corner, especially out of turn 3 and turn 1, those long straights. So you had to power down pretty good and get down early on the throttle. And if you didn't have your rears with you, then it wasn't going to go anywhere. If you couldn't turn, then obviously that's a problem. So, you know, I don't know what Aaron did on that last stop. I don't know if he just didn't take tires. It was a fuel only thing. I don't know if he was out of tires or what the scenario was there, but ran him down because of the tire strategy at that point, and that's what got us the W.
Of course, with this win and you being now only the second repeat winner of the entire season, we're going to see a swing out to the short track once again. Martinsville Speedway is up next, and unlike the Gen 7 cars, these cars, they don't tend to do too well with beating and banging with each other. What's going to be the game plan for you when we roll out to Virginia?
Keep a clean car, and hopefully avoid all the wrecks, stay out front of that, and we'll see how that works. But Martinsville, we could have some. If you guys were ever to do a radioactive, make sure you censor that one, because that one's probably gonna be a bunch of people yelling at each other, maybe me included. Who knows? But it'll be a fun, entertaining race to watch for sure.
Well, we'll get set to see how things are going to line up for you when we go racing next week. Well, you could be a clean car. Well, we'll find out in yeah. I'm going to try it again. We'll find out in a week, won't we? Thank you for joining us up here tonight, Ben. Congratulations on taking the race win.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Benjamin
Lacey joining us up here at the end of the night, able to take home his second race win of the season. We're going to move on down to Aaron Smith, as it is the driver of the Yellow Vision car, able to come home and takes up a podium. But what could have been for Aaron Smith, as Aaron, you lost the lead there with 3 laps to go, and tire strategy did not seem to go your way this afternoon.
Yeah, it was never my intention to take tires that early on. I forgot to uncheck them going into the pits for that one caution, and dealt myself a pretty bad hand, but it got me through the field and got me a pretty good lead, and it just wasn't enough there at the end.
Kind of walk us through the game plan here this afternoon, because obviously this race, it's super different to last year's iteration of this racetrack, considering this is on that older scan and a much more difficult track to drive on a much more difficult car to drive.
It was fun from start to finish. I showed up with about maybe 10 minutes left in qualifying. Didn't really bother practicing or anything. I wasn't really intending to run the race until I saw that it was about to close. But yeah, came in, had a little bit of speed off the truck, and kind of learned over the course of the first run. Got stuck in some traffic there, so I was glad to have that first caution. But yeah, I just wish it could have been a little bit different there at the end. But it was a good race nonetheless.
A good race nonetheless. You mentioned that one, of course. You have already taken 1 race win in 2 races here, and now you make that 2 for 3 on podiums here this afternoon. Will we be seeing you on that podium again before season's end?
I'm taking a look at the schedule right now, and I think I'll be back at some point this season, maybe for another few races, and I'll certainly be going for the win there. I don't want to make any too big of a difference there in the points championship, but I'll see what I can do.
Well, sounds like a plan. It's always entertaining when you come in and shake things up. We'll see how you're going to shake things up when we see you on track next. Congratulations on taking number 2 tonight.
All right, thank you.
That was Aaron Smith, the driver to Hollywood, South Carolina, joining us up here at the end of the night. We're going to run on down and give a chit-chat here to the 3rd driver that finishes on the podium. And, well, at the end of the night for Tony Hilbrands, it's a very quiet 3rd. Tony, you finished this race in the middle of no man's land, but after some struggles early on, you take that Mopar Dodge up into a solid third place finish. How does it feel?
Pretty disappointing actually. I easily had the fastest car tonight, but the one car decided to brake check me and put a hole in my nose on that one run, and it cost me like 5 miles per hour on the straightaways, and it took 10 laps before we got to pit to fix it. So I lost a bunch of time, and then I had a back marker ride my door when I came off pit road and cost me a bunch of time. But I'll take third after all that. It's just, man, I was really expecting to win tonight, and Ben ended up winning, so he's going to extend his points lead, but I guess it could be worse with everything. Yeah, so that's just disappointing.
Overall, you're still able to walk away with a decent handful of points this afternoon. You sit fourth place of the championship entering race in action here tonight, and no doubt you're going to be pretty secure in at least fourth, if not higher up, with a podium finish here. How's the mindset going to change with only 5 races left before we run it out to the playoffs?
The main thing is survive and get the best finishes you can at Martinsville and Talladega. The rest of the tracks I should be up front like I have been all season, unless stuff happens. So I'm just gonna try to keep my momentum up, get a few more wins, and to look forward to the start of the postseason. And once we get there, should be a fun battle between me, Ben, Nick, and whoever else decides to be the fourth car in the final race.
And of course, you brought up Martinsville and Talladega. They are two very opposite sides of a very extreme coin. You've got arguably the fastest and one of the widest tracks on the entire schedule, and one of the most intense racetracks for pack racing. Following up immediately after a track that is the tightest track and one of the slowest we have on the schedule, and both tracks, cautions have a tendency to come quite frequently in these cars. What's going to be the game plan to survive in these next 2 weeks?
Well, for Martinsville, you want to be in the front or as far up as you can, and make sure that nobody sends it on you and gets those bumpers on yours, because the bumpers not aligning isn't only a bad thing at the super speedways. They suck at short tracks, because you can't just like bump someone and move them out of the way. If you get into someone, it sends them around immediately. So just got to avoid that. Keep your nose clean yourself, and then Dega, it's just stay out of the wrecks. That there's really no strategies at plate tracks, because everything happens whether you want it to or not.
That's something I'm sure Michael Ashmore knows quite a bit about for the season opener. But thank you for joining us up here as always, Tony. We'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing in Virginia, and it'll be interesting. We'll see if we can hang on to that solid points position entering Virginia.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one, Nolan. Hope everyone enjoyed the show, and congrats to Ben again on the win.
Tony Halebrands out of Rock Rapids, Iowa, joined us up here from the third and final step of the podium. And, with that, that's all the time once again we're going to have for one afternoon. We want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us up here for what was some absolutely thrilling racing action here on an absolutely beautiful Monday afternoon. What a way to kick off the week of the Trenton Triangle, and it is going to be one heck of a week to kick it off when we go racing 1 week from now at Martinsville, Virginia. It was not present in season number 1 due to concerns over the type of racing that might be had. Well, we're in an even harder car to drive this time, and hey, it's on the schedule, and I am so excited to see how everything's going to pan on out. Don't forget to check out the Beer League tomorrow night for their first proper wet race at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve over in Portugal on Wednesday night. And then, of course, the Speed Tires Plus Cup Series will kick off their own race in the Chase for Tires Plus Cup at the Chicagoland Speedway. That'll be coming up on Thursday night. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name, as always, is Noah Rempel. Thank you for joining us up here for racing action here for the Pocono Raceway. We'll see you next week when we go racing in Virginia.